The storm arrived over northern Norway without warning, at exactly 2:13 a.m. Every satellite above the Korvik mountain range lost signal for 11 seconds. When the systems returned, meteorologists discovered a gigantic thunderstorm sitting directly above the abandoned Korvik Dam. And it wasn't moving. The dam had been shut down for over 20 years after a mysterious underground collapse killed dozens of workers. Since then, local villagers avoided the valley completely. Fishermen refused to sail near the reservoir after dark. They claimed strange human faces appeared beneath the water at night. Engineer Elias Voss ignored the stories. He arrived at Korvik Dam with technician Nora Lind and former military diver Mikhail Petrov after seismic sensors detected movement beneath the reservoir. Their mission was simple: inspect the underground turbine tunnels and leave. But the moment they entered the station, something felt wrong. The air was unnaturally cold. The radios produced whispers through static, and the water level kept rising, despite the floodgates remaining open. Late that night, Nora discovered hidden files buried in the station archives. The documents reference something called Project NIDHOG, a classified excavation beneath the dam during the 1980s. Attached photographs showed workers standing beside massive underground tunnels carved deep into black stone. Strange symbols covered the walls, and in every image stood tall, shadowy figures in the background. Watching. Hours later, the station lost power. An old elevator beneath the facility suddenly activated by itself. The three descended into the darkness. The elevator passed every known level before displaying DPPE. When the doors opened, freezing air rushed inside. A massive underground corridor stretched beneath the mountain. Rusted steel doors stood ahead labeled Spogelvul Nijoji inside. They discovered something horrifying. The original builders had uncovered an underground ocean beneath the dam, a gigantic black sea hidden beneath the earth itself. Workers reported hearing voices coming from the water. Some went insane. Others disappeared. Then Elias saw movement. Hundreds of pale human figures floated silently beneath the dark water below the platform. Eyes open, bodies unmoving. Not dead. Watching. Suddenly, the platform shook violently. A gigantic sound echoed through the cavern. Something enormous moved beneath the underground sea. A colossal humanoid shape slowly rose from the darkness. Its body looked made from black water and rotting flesh. Thousands of human faces covered its surface, all screaming silently. Nora began crying. Mikhail fired his revolver uselessly into the creature. The thing opened its mouth, and every light in the cavern exploded. The creature's voice echoed directly inside their minds. The gate must open. Water surged upward. Instantly, the underground sea began flooding the tunnels. The dam itself started cracking apart. The three barely escaped through collapsing corridors, while alarms screamed across the facility. Concrete walls split open around them as black water erupted from beneath the mountain. Outside, the storm intensified. Gigantic red cracks spread across Korvik Dam. Then Elias realized the truth. The dam had never been built to hold water back. It had been built to imprison whatever lived beneath the mountain. As the structure collapsed, millions of gallons of black water exploded into the valley below. Inside the flood were countless screaming human faces. The final thing Elias saw before the wave consumed the station was the colossal creature rising behind the broken dam beneath the lightning-filled sky. And somewhere far away, emergency satellites recorded the storm beginning to move south. Deep within Siberia stood Volchik Dam, the largest abandoned hydroelectric structure in Russia. Nobody had entered it for 15 years. Officially, the dam was closed after a reactor explosion killed hundreds of workers. Unofficially, survivors claimed something emerged from Tunnel 7 during the final evacuation. Something alive. A documentary crew led by journalist Anna Volkov arrived hoping to uncover the truth behind the disaster. The locals begged them not to enter. One old man grabbed Anna's arm before they left. "If you hear knocking inside the walls," he whispered, "do not answer." The crew laughed nervously and continued into the frozen valley. Volchik Dam looked monstrous. The structure towered above the snowy mountains like a dead concrete fortress. Massive cracks covered its walls, and frozen black water leaked from broken spillways. Inside, the corridors were silent, except for distant metallic noises echoing somewhere deep below. The crew consisted of Anna, cameraman Victor, engineer Leonid, and security officer Pavel. At first, everything seemed abandoned. Then they found the messages. "Help on, let them open it. The water is not water." The deeper they traveled, the stranger the dam became. Entire hallways appeared where no corridors should exist. Elevator shafts descended impossibly far underground. Some rooms contained machinery, unlike anything modern engineers recognized. Then the knocking started. 3 slow knocks from inside the walls. Pavel froze immediately. Everyone heard it. Knock, knock, knock. Something was moving within the concrete itself. The crew followed old emergency maps toward Tunnel 7, the location of the original disaster. When they finally reached the chamber, they discovered an enormous circular hole descending endlessly into darkness beneath the dam, and surrounding it were thousands of handprints burned into the walls. Suddenly, Victor's camera began glitching violently. On the tiny monitor appeared pale figures standing behind the crew. But when they turned around, nothing was there. Then Leonid screamed. Something grabbed him from inside the darkness below the pit. A long gray arm stretched upward from the hole and dragged him into the abyss instantly. His screams echoed for several seconds before abruptly stopping. The lights died. Emergency red lighting activated across the chamber, and from below came the sound of thousands of voices whispering together. The remaining crew ran. But the dam itself seemed alive now. Corridors shifted. Doors slammed shut. Knocking erupted from every wall simultaneously. Pavel finally confessed the truth. Years earlier, Soviet scientists discovered a strange organism buried beneath the valley. It infected water itself, turning humans into hollow shells controlled by a hive mind. Volchik Dam was built to contain it. But during excavation, the organism spread through the underground tunnels. The reactor explosion had been an attempt to destroy the entire facility. It failed. Suddenly, Victor stopped running. His face became pale. Black water leaked slowly from his mouth. Then he smiled. "You shouldn't have come here," he whispered. His body split apart violently as black liquid exploded across the corridor walls. Dozens of pale humanoid creatures crawled from the liquid and chased Anna and Pavel through the collapsing dam. Outside, the storm above Volchik intensified. The frozen reservoir began moving like a living creature beneath the ice. Anna and Pavel reached the surface just as gigantic cracks spread across the dam wall. Then the structure burst open. An ocean of black infected water flooded the valley while enormous shadowy figures rose from beneath the reservoir. Military helicopters arriving overhead immediately turned around. The final transmission from the valley lasted only 4 words. "The dam is ample." Ravencrest Dam stood hidden in the forests of Western Canada. Unlike other abandoned dams, Ravencrest still operated automatically, despite having no workers inside for decades. Every month, the facility transmitted the same emergency signal across military frequencies. Containment, activdo not enter. Most people assumed it was an old automated warning system. Then the signal changed. Containment, Felingi Private Recovery Team was sent immediately. Team leader Marcus Kane arrived with scientist Dr. Emily Ross and communications expert Tyler Reed during a violent thunderstorm. The facility looked untouched. Lights still glowed inside the control station. Computers still worked, but there were no signs of human life anywhere. No bodies, no records, nothing. Then Emily discovered surveillance footage from 28 years earlier. The video showed workers running through the corridors while alarms blared. Behind them moved enormous dark shapes crawling along the ceilings. The footage ended with every worker staring directly into the camera before their eyes turned completely black. That night, Tyler intercepted a radio transmission from somewhere deep below the dam. A child's voice whispered repeatedly, "Please let us out." The team followed maintenance tunnels underground. The deeper they descended, the more impossible the structure became. The tunnels extended far below the dam's actual foundations. Walls pulsed strangely like living tissue beneath the concrete. Then they reached the containment chamber. Inside stood a gigantic steel door covered in warning symbols. Behind it came scratching sounds. Emily finally uncovered the truth from old research files. Decades earlier, scientists discovered an ancient cavern beneath the valley containing strange parasitic organisms preserved in underground water. The creatures could mimic human voices and memories. When researchers attempted experiments, the organisms escaped. Everyone inside Ravencrest became infected. The survivors sealed the creatures behind the containment door and abandoned the facility forever. But now the door was opening. The scratching became louder. Then came the voices. Marcus heard his dead brother calling for help. Emily heard her mother crying. Tyler heard children screaming behind the steel wall. The parasites were reading their memories, trying to lure them closer. Suddenly, the containment locks failed. The steel door slowly opened. Darkness poured from inside like liquid smoke. And within it moved hundreds of thin, pale creatures with human faces stretched across their bodies. Tyler panicked and ran. The creatures instantly swarmed him. His screams lasted only seconds. Marcus and Emily escaped toward the surface, while the entire dam shook violently around them. Emergency alarms echoed everywhere. Containment failure, evacuate. Immediately outside, lightning illuminated the reservoir. Something enormous moved beneath the water, a gigantic shape larger than the dam itself. The creatures had reached the lake. Marcus and Emily barely escaped by helicopter as Ravencrest Dam collapsed behind them. Black water flooded the forest while thousands of pale figures emerged from the waves. Days later, military forces sealed the entire region permanently. But satellites still detect a strange radio signal coming from the destroyed valley every night.